What is up, my friends, and welcome back to the Pin Drop Shop. Today I'm going to show you how to make the easiest of all sewing projects you could possibly tackle, and that is a pillow. So if you're starting at square one and you've never even sewn before and you barely know how to use your machine, this project's for you. So we're going to take some fun fabric, we're going to make some pillows, we're going to spruce up our porch, and it's going to be great. So stay tuned, we're going to get right into it. Okay, so for this project you're going to need some fabric. So how much fabric do you need? Well, that's going to depend on how big your pillow is going to be. So we have 20-inch Pillowforms in the shop right now. We also have 18-inch sometimes. So those are some good standard sizes. There's also 16-inch, there's 24-inch. You can really do whatever you want. I'm going to be making 20-inch pillows today so I can use my Pillowforms that I have. So this sounds kind of weird, but whatever size your Pillowform is, we're actually going to cut the fabric to that size without adding seam allowance, and then we're going to lose a little with seam allowance, making our cover just a tad smaller than our Pillowform. That sounds wrong, but it's actually going to be great. It's going to make it look very full and poofy and great, just how we want it, without those floppy corners that look all empty. We don't want that. So you're going to figure out how big you want your pillow, get that much fabric. So if you want a 20-inch pillow, you need 20 inches of fabric. So that's just a little over a half yard. So you could go to 3/4 of a yard. If you got a half yard, that would be 18 inches. So that would be enough for an 18-inch pillow. Okay, so you're going to get some fabric. Now you can use a canvas or a heavier weight fabric for this if you want it to be a porch pillow, but you don't have to. You can use regular cotton and you can interface it for more sturdiness if you want to. Again, that's optional. So the only thing that we really need other than fabric is thread to match and then a Pillowform. Even the Pillowform is optional. If you don't want to use the Pillowform, you can either just stuff it with stuffing or you can make your own Pillowform. All a Pillowform really is another pillow that goes inside your pillow cover. So we're going to make two pillows, or we're going to make a cover and we're going to use a Pillowform. That's the route I'm going to go today, and I have kits for that too. So we have the Pillowforms and we have the prints that I'm about to show you. So if you would like any of those prints, we have kits. Otherwise, we have lots of fabrics to choose from. So you can just choose your fabric, get the amount that you need, and then just get the Pillowform as well. Okay, so let's get started cutting. These are the 3 fabrics that I would like to use for my pillows. So I'm going to cut 20 inches off the bolt. So here's the 20-inch mark on my map. You can't see it, but I'm going to go ahead and cut that off, and then we'll be ready to go. First, I'm just going to cut this selvage off, and I'm probably going to save this awesome selvage because I love these Ruby Star selvages. This is the Ruby Star Canvas by Alexia Abeg. Okay, get rid of the selvage. Now I'm going to open this up. And I'm going to cut our first piece for the front, which is going to be a 20-inch square. Alright, this is our front. And now I'm going to cut my second 20-inch piece. You could have also left this folded and cut them at the same time. Okay, so now we have our front piece and our back piece. Now when I said a pillow is the simplest thing you can possibly make, I really mean it. So this is the front side of the fabric, and this is the back side, aka the right side and the wrong side. So most of the time when we sew backwards and inside out. So that means you want to make an inside out pillowcase. So we're going to put this one like this, so that we have our right sides touching. So if you ever see a sewing pattern and it says place right sides together, That's what that means. They want you to take the right side of one piece and make it touch the right side of the other piece so they're on top of each other like this. And then we're just going to make the outside edges as lined up as we can, like that. And then we're going to need some pins or clips. And we're just going to pin all the way around the outside. It's always best if you let your pin heads hang off the end and you place your pins perpendicular to the seam you're about to sew, just so that it's easier for you to take your pins out later. So we don't need a ton of pins, just enough to hold this while we carry it over to the sewing machine. That's basically it, just so it doesn't shift by the time we get over there. Now we're almost ready to sew. So what we're going to do is we're going to sew all the way around the outside of this square, except we're going to leave one side open so that we can insert the pillow form. We want to leave most of the side open, but we do want to turn the corner and stitch just a little bit of the side here, leave this big space open, and then just stitch a little bit over here, because we need to sew the corners by the machine in this first step, otherwise they're not going to look good. So we're going to leave as big of an opening as possible while still turning the corners and giving ourselves a couple inches here by the corners. We're going to do all this with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. What that means is the stitch that we sew will be 1/2 inch away from the edge. So at the beginning of every project you want to decide what that seam allowance is going to be. So you're going to follow one of these lines here that are on your sewing machine. So mine says 4/8, so that's a 1/2 inch. And I just like to take some washi tape and highlight that one. So I take a piece and then I place it right along the line for 4/8. So then I have a more highlighted seam allowance guide there. So then once you're ready to start sewing, you'll take your piece and put it in the sewing machine under the presser foot, and I'm just a few inches away from the corner. There's the corner, so I'm going to come back here, and I have the raw edges aligned with the edge of that washi tape, and I'm going to start with a back stitch. So I'll press the back stitch button down on my machine, hit the pedal, go backwards for about 3 or 4 stitches. I have my machine threaded up with a matching thread here. Just going to get my threads out of the way. Okay, now we're ready to keep going straight. Okay, now when you approach the corner here, we want to try to center what we're doing so that we pivot right in the corner, so it's still a 1/2 inch from here to the stitch, and it's still a 1/2 inch from here to the stitch. So if you could imagine an imaginary line coming through here, and we're just going to stop right about there, about a 1/2 inch from the edge. Stop with the needle down, so I'm going to turn the wheel towards me to put that needle down in, lift the presser foot, and pivot on that needle to make the turn for the corner, moving my whole project. Remove the pins as you come to them, and I'm going to put the presser foot back down and keep going. Sometimes they won't be even like this. If you didn't do the most perfect job cutting, that's okay. As long as you're stitching through both layers and it's not too terribly uneven, it's fine. We're coming up to another corner, so I'll just sew all the way down into that corner and then I'll pivot. So if the needle's not all the way down, turn the flywheel towards you to put the needle down in the fabric, then you can safely lift your presser foot because, see, your project can't move, that needle is down. So you can pivot on that needle, turn the whole project, and put it back down. Okay, this is the last corner. So I've dropped the needle, I'm going to pivot, and I'm only going to sew a couple inches and then end with a back stitch. Now we can take this piece out. And this is what you should have. So we started here, we stitched all the way around the outside, and then came back here. Okay, now we're going to flip this right side out. So just reach into the opening at this side and flip it. And then take your hand and put it into the corners and push the corners out so they're nice and pointy, like that. You could even put something sharp in there, like a chopstick or a mechanical pencil with the lead pushed in, or anything like that, just to get those more pointy. Just do that to all of them. Okay, we're almost done. Now we just need to go grab our pillow form and stick it in here. These are the 20-inch pillow forms we have. You can find this on our website if you need one. So you're just going to take this out of the plastic and then stick it inside here. This would be the other option, just to use stuffing. So you can just tear off a bunch of chunks of stuffing and stuff them in your pillow. That's completely fine, but it's going to look better if you have a pillow form, because it's not going to be so lumpy. Okay, I shoved the pillow form inside of there. Now we just have to close this. So we're going to take the two pieces here and see how they naturally kind of want to roll to the inside. Well, we want them to fold to the inside by 1/2 inch, just like our seam allowance was. Fold this one as a 1/2 inch as well, like that. And then we're going to pin these or clip them like this all the way across this opening. So we're going to close this opening. So that's what you're looking for, like that. So I'm going to have to move this one because I should have started at the edge and moved down. That's not lined up right, so we'll take that one out. And then moving from this one down. Like that. And yes, you'll notice I left the plastic on, but I'm going to take it off later. Okay, just like that. We want all those raw edges inside. Okay, now we're ready to sew this. Now I'm going to change my stitch length to all the way up, which mine's a 4, because I want this to be a basting stitch. Because the stitch we're about to sew, I want it to be easy to tear out later in case you want to change out your pillow case. Okay, so for this next part, we're going to be closing the gap and we're going to be stitching as close as possible to this edge. So we're no longer using the tape as a guide. We're going to put the pillow in here. So here's where the hole begins. So I'm going to start just a little bit further back to make sure I get everything. And just fold that and stick it in here like this. Lower your presser foot down. And then look to see that your needle is really close to the edge. I'm going to begin with a back stitch. And you'll find that your needle wants to fall off the edge here. So just do your best to keep it sewing on the fabric. You might have to smush down this stuff over here to keep this nice and flat for your needle to go through. Okay, let's go. And you might have to always be pinching here and pulling it this way. If it does start to fall off, you can lift your presser foot and just stick it back in. Lower back down and keep going. Now I'm going to go all the way past where the hole is, almost to the corner, and end with a back stitch. Let's check it out. Looks pretty awesome. And that is it, my friends. You have made your own throw pillow. Okay friends, well as always I hope that was fun for you, and I hope that you make some pillows. If this is your first project, leave a comment down below. I really would love to know how this went for you. And if it's not your first project, if you have anything to say, leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you guys. And please don't forget to give my video a like. That stuff helps out a lot and lets me know if you like it. And then also please consider subscribing. We put out a new video every week, and it's all about sewing deep dives around here. So we do sewing, we do alterations, we do machine maintenance, we do all kinds of stuff. So please subscribe. It would make me so happy. So thanks again so much for watching. If you need to get a kit or any fabric, head over to our website, shoppindrop.com. I will leave the links below, and I will see you guys next time. Happy sewing!